The discriminated black man found a beautiful white girlfriend only to discover that all her previous boyfriends were black, but his girlfriend told each of them that they were her first black love. The black guy didn't understand why his girlfriend lied and why she only liked black people, but because he was too inferior in his heart and was always discriminated against in the local area, he finally got the favor of a white girl, so he had to pretend that he didn't care and didn't ask too many questions. When his girlfriend said she wanted to take Daniel home to meet her parents, Daniel was very nervous, afraid that his girlfriend's family would mind his race, but his girlfriend told him not to worry because her whole family was very friendly to his breed. The two drove all the way to a remote town. As soon as he arrived there, Daniel felt that there was an indescribable weirdness everywhere. Her parents were too enthusiastic when they saw black people. Additionally, his girlfriend's family had a black maid and gardener. The gardener glared at him while the maid looked at Daniel with murderous intent. The maid gave Daniel a creepy smile, making him uncomfortable as his girlfriend's parents watched him closely. When the mother saw Daniel tapping the table with his hands, she knew that he was addicted to smoking. She also said that she was a therapist and could help him quit smoking through therapy. When he first met his mother-in-law, he was scared and refused therapy, but unable to sleep in the gloomy house. Daniel went out for fresh air. In the dark, he suddenly saw the gardener running fast and approaching him, but sharply turned before colliding with him. Before he could figure out what was going on, Daniel felt a chill on his back. He turned around and saw that the whole family seems to be in a state of mental disorder. As soon as Daniel returned to the house, he found that his girlfriend's mother was sitting in the living room, seemingly waiting for him. He had no choice but to sit down and chat with his girlfriend's mother. At this time, the mother voice became soft and gentle, and she kept stirring the coffee cup with the spoon. As the crisp and subtle sound reached Daniel's ear, making him to begin feel dazed, he began to shed tears unconsciously. The crisp and weak sound is hypnotic. The first time Daniel met his girlfriend's mother, she was forced to hypnotize him in the middle of the night. Daniel was confused at first, and then his thoughts and consciousness were gradually controlled by his girlfriend's mother. Under the hypnotic guidance of his girlfriend's mother, Daniel remembered his unfortunate childhood and the problems he suffered because of his skin color when he grew up. The tears began to flow uncontrollably, and his girlfriend's mother had no expression on her face, without a trace of sympathy. Instead, she began to paralyze Daniel's brain more deeply, that Daniel felt that he had fallen into an endless abyss. In front of him, his mother-in-law was leaving him. It was getting farther and farther away. He suddenly woke up despaired and found that it was already the next day. He couldn't tell whether everything he experienced last night was real or a dream. During the day, her girlfriend's parents held a party at home with only white people in attendance. Daniel was like an outsider among the crowd. The strange thing was that every guest who came to the party was very enthusiastic about Daniel and always cared about whether his body was strong. Daniel felt puzzled. At this time, he found the man of the same breed as himself in the crowd and excitedly went up to say hello, but when he turned around, Daniel found that the man's body was stiff and his expression was dumb like a controlled body. He looked very young but spoke like an old man. Then an old woman who claims to be the wife of the black man appeared next to him. The old woman even let the black man show off his strong body in public. He was like a commodity being carefully promoted by everyone. Daniel felt that there was no normal person here, so he prepared to pack up and leave, but when he went upstairs, the noisy voices of the guests stopped as if this party was just a show for Daniel alone. When Daniel took out his mobile phone, he found out that his mobile phone, which was charging, was unplugged by someone. Then the black nanny suddenly appeared behind him, smiling at him and crying nonstop. Daniel was almost scared crazy. This family was simply mentally ill. He called his black friend and told him all the strange things he experienced at his girlfriend's house. His friend asked him to take some photos and send them to him so he can help to analyze it. However, when Daniel quietly raised his phone to secretly take a photo of the black man of the same species, the black man suddenly froze. This caused him to become furious and rushed up like a madman to grab Daniel's shirt. Fortunately, someone else stepped in and took him away. The girlfriend's father and mother explained to Daniel that the man had epilepsy and would have an attack if stimulated by the flash. After a while, the black man fully recovered and apologized for his behavior. Daniel was overwhelmed by the strange atmosphere at his girlfriend's house and could no longer tolerate it. He took his girlfriend to the lake and told her that he had to leave today. His girlfriend asked him to have a good rest for another night and would send him away tomorrow. At the same time, the party at home turned into an auction, and the item being auctioned was Daniel. They all seemed to be attracted by Daniel's strong physique and had taken his close-up photo. In the end, a blind man had bought him for over $1 million and was about to become the owner of Daniel's body, while Daniel was totally unaware of all this. Meanwhile, that night he sent the picture of that black man to his friend. His friend said that the black man at the party was his neighbor before, but he suddenly disappeared one day. How could he be with a group of white people? Although neither of them knew what happened, his friend's sixth sense told him that he had to leave immediately. When he was packing up, he accidentally found photos of his girlfriend and her ex-boyfriends. All of them were black. Two of them looked exactly like the maid and the gardener. It was really scary. Daniel hurried downstairs to escape, but his girlfriend family was approaching him step by step to get up. He rushed and fought hard, but his girlfriend's mother calmly knocked on the coffee cup and hypnotized him again. Daniel collapsed to the ground in an instant and the dark vortex dragged him into the abyss again. When Daniel woke up again, he found that he had been locked in the secret room in front of him. A TV automatically started playing the content inside. This made Daniel understand all the ins and outs and also knew the reason why his girlfriend only loved black people. It turned out that his girlfriend's grandfather had developed a brain transplantation method, which was to transplant the brain of a disabled person into another person's head so that the person can keep his original consciousness and live in another healthy body. Black people are the ones they chose for transplantation because this race is not only strong but also basically people of the lower social class with no status. Even if they are missing, no one will pay too much attention to them. They discriminated against black people while squeezing out all the value of black people. Daniel has been chosen by the blind rich man to undergo brain transplantation. After that, his body will be occupied by the other party. However, since this technology is not mature, the only bug is that it cannot completely eliminate the body's own consciousness and memory, which actually results in one body coexisting with two brains. Conflicts might arise, which is why the gardener and nanny at his girlfriend's house act strangely and often cry. The original owner of the body left hopeless, leading to sad tears. Camera flash will also awaken the body's original consciousness. This is also the reason why the black man at the party suddenly seemed to be a different person after being photographed. Then the girlfriend's mother hypnosis was broadcast on TV again. After then Daniel fainted. His girlfriend's brother came in with a wheelchair. At this time, it turns out that Daniel had plugged his ears with cotton from the chair in advance, so he was not really hypnotized. Daniel stormed out in anger, killed his girlfriend's father with a sculpture, destroyed his girlfriend's mother hypnosis too, and zoomed off. As a result, he accidentally hit the maid on the road. Thinking the maid was also a victim of violation, he couldn't bear to ignore it. The maid was carried into the car by Daniel. His girlfriend heard the maid being carried into the car by Daniel and called out, "Grandma." It turned out that their family had transplanted the brain of their terminally ill grandmother into the maid. The gardener was the girlfriend's grandfather. Because of the competition, failures are common, so this technique was developed for him to occupy the body of a black person. He always runs at night to enjoy physical fitness of black people. This is why Daniel suddenly ran into the gardener running in the middle of the night. The grandma's consciousness was awakened in the body of the maid. She tore at Daniel and asked why he wanted to destroy her family, causing the car to crash into a big tree on the side of the road. When Daniel got out and escaped, the grandfather also rushed over and grabbed him tightly and, refusing to let go. Daniel suddenly had an idea and turned on his flashlight. The gardener's original consciousness was awakened instantly. He stood up and tricked the gun from the girlfriend. He shot and killed her, then seized the brief moment of his awareness to detonate the bullet and end his own life, unwilling to let the wicked grandfather use his body to survive. Soon after, Daniel's friend arrived with the police and was rescued from the dangerous town. But how would Daniel explain to the police he was merely a victim of the whole happening when, as a result, his girlfriend and the whole family died? Who would believe him?